Alarms go off after Ferrero's confession about Carlos Alcaraz and the seriousness of his injury. Carlos Alcaraz had problems with his ankle during the Tokyo tournament, in which he later became champion. However, before returning to the court, his coach confessed the real seriousness of the injury. Carlos Alcaraz has regained the world #1 position, although it has not been an easy road. He achieved it after defeating Jannik Sinner in the US Open final and revalidated it at the ATP 500 in Tokyo, claiming the title in a tournament he had never competed in before. However, in the early rounds of this event, he injured his ankle, raising alarms about a possible withdrawal. He ultimately managed to keep fighting until lifting the trophy, but immediately after decided to withdraw from the Shanghai Masters 1000, an event that is about to conclude with 2 unexpected finalists. Therefore, ahead of his next competition, the Six Kings Slam, many doubts have arisen regarding the Mercian player, especially after Ferrero's confession acknowledging the seriousness of this injury. Ferrero made clear the nature of the injury the Mercian had to endure during the tournament. He had a sprain, he twisted his ankle. We thought he was going to retire that same day. But well, he managed to get through that day, Ferrero declared, admitting that it was indeed a serious blow, unlike the impression they tried to give during the tournament. Carlos Alcaraz's effort to endure the injury in Tokyo. He was able to endure the whole tournament with a grade 2 sprain, with a lot of treatment every day. But of course, he couldn't go to Shanghai, he explained, making it clear that it was a complicated injury and raising doubts about his return to competition despite winning in Tokyo, as he withdrew from Shanghai to avoid worsening the damage. We were taking a lot of risks. Not because of the sprain itself, which was under control, but because, in the end, unconsciously, you go out to compete, you put weight differently, and that can affect your knee or your hip. So we decided it was best to rest and properly recover the ankle, added Ferrero. The ATP grows tired of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. The tennis player Jakub Mensik was one of those chosen to break into the current two-man fight in the ATP ranking. But the Czech player, as of today, admits that everyone has already given up on that idea. Not even Jannik Sinner's 3-month suspension has threatened the Italian's top 2 spot. The world #1 title was taken by Carlos Alcaraz, who else? But both maintain such a powerful rivalry that even the German Alexander Zverev seems weak next to them. And that's despite being number 3 in the ranking. In 2025, the titles are being split almost by default. If they're not playing the final against each other, it's because one of them isn't participating. And when one doesn't win, the other does. To the point that their own rivals are getting tired and see it as impossible to catch them. One of them is Jakub Mensik. The Czech player was among those tipped at the start of the season to challenge them and, why not, crash their party. But now that the year is entering its final stretch, he has ruled that out. Or at least, that's what he told La Gazzetta dello Sport. Right now, Alcaraz and Sinner are the best, then there's a big gap with the rest. We're trying to catch them, and that's our job, but I see them as superior to us in every way. Their consistency and style of play are on another level, every shot makes a difference. In Miami, he was the big revelation after beating Novak Djokovic in the final, but pressure and injuries have since prevented him from shining much more in 2025. I really have to improve in all aspects of my tennis to grow. I can't make predictions. You can learn a lot from them in practice, but facing them for the first time would be useful to understand how they act in every situation. I don't feel I have expectations, but I'm willing to work hard. His first Masters 1000 victory brought him into the spotlight right away. Now, that attention has faded a bit. Fans and journalists start talking about you, and your matches get much more attention. But I don't have expectations for my career and I'm just focused on working. Winning a tournament or big matches doesn't mean you've reached the level of the best. Right now, I'm training, I see my ranking going up and my game improving. I'm happy with that. At this stage, you need to gain experience because consistency is the key to getting there. Carlos Alcaraz wraps up his vacation and rest to resume training for the Six Kings Slam. The Mercian tennis player has recovered from his ankle injury suffered at the ATP 500 in Tokyo and will be present at the tournament held in Saudi Arabia from October 15 to 18. He is currently enjoying the Spanish Open golf tournament held at the Club de Campo Villa de Madrid. The world #1 played a round with Jon Rahm and Irishman Shane Lowry this Wednesday and followed the Lion of Berwick on his first day of the tournament on Thursday. He is about to conclude the short vacation he took after winning the ATP 500 in Tokyo. Having overcome the twist of his left ankle, which he managed throughout his victorious run in Tokyo, he has refreshed both body and mind for the final stretch of the season. Alcaraz and his team decided to withdraw from the Shanghai Masters 1000, which allowed him to attend the Club de Campo Villa de Madrid. This Thursday, the Merchant took advantage of his last hours of rest to follow Rahm's first round from the course, enjoying the tournament's atmosphere. He wasn't alone, he was accompanied by his Davis Cup captain, David Ferrer, with whom he maintains a close relationship, and footballer Sergio Reguilon, another close friend. A day of sport and relaxation before refocusing on the demanding final stretch of the season. Alcaraz returns to training. After this short break, Carlos Alcaraz will resume training under the orders of his coach Juan Carlos Ferrero starting this Friday, to prepare for the Six Kings Slam. Although it's an exhibition tournament, the prize money is extremely tempting. Each player will receive $1.5 million just for participating, while the winner will take home up to $6 million, a much higher prize than any Grand Slam. Carlos Alcaraz enters this event as world number 1, with the feeling of having accomplished his goals. The world number 1 won the US Open and then the ATP 500 in Tokyo. He is at the best moment of his career and wants to stay at the top until the end of the year. His remaining goals are few but ambitious: winning the Paris-Bercy Masters 1000 for the first time, also winning the ATP Finals in Turin for the first time, and then helping Spain win the Davis Cup in Bologna. A tough challenge, but nothing impossible for a player who has already shown that nothing can escape him this season. The Spanish player will travel next Tuesday to Saudi Arabia to compete in the Six Kings Slam. Alcaraz, along with Novak Djokovic, is one of the 2 players who will enter the competition directly in the semifinals on the 16th. This was determined by the number of Grand Slam titles each has won. The Spaniard ranks second among participants with 6, while Djokovic leads with 24. The 2 quarterfinal matchups were drawn today: Jannik Sinner vs Stefanos Tsitsipas and Alexander Zverev vs Taylor Fritz. The winner of the first match will face Djokovic, and the winner of the second will face Alcaraz. Therefore, Alcaraz could earn up to $7 million by winning just 2 matches. Carlos Alcaraz surpasses Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic with his new Nike contract. Stay until the end to learn all the details of this new deal. Carlos Alcaraz has been a Nike athlete since 2019 and agreed to a contract extension with the sportswear giant last year after winning his first Roland Garros title. Reportedly, Carlos Alcaraz will showcase a new personal logo by Nike at the upcoming ATP Finals in Turin. Alcaraz and his rival Jannik Sinner are the only 2 players who have so far officially secured their spots for the season-ending tournament in Italy. The world numbers 1 and 2 have dominated men's tennis for much of the past 2 years, with the last 8 Grand Slams divided between them. Alcaraz overtook Sinner to reclaim the top spot in the ATP ranking after his victory at the US Open last month. Alcaraz has been backed by Nike since 2019 and signed an extension with them last year following his first Roland Garros triumph. Reportedly, he will earn €160 million under the new contract. The 22-year-old is the youngest player to win 6 Grand Slam titles and is just 1 Australian Open crown away from completing the career Grand Slam early in his career. The current Roland Garros and US Open champion withdrew from the ongoing Shanghai Masters after suffering an injury during his victorious Tokyo campaign last month. He is expected to return for the exhibition Six Kings Slam in Saudi Arabia next week. Unfortunately, I've been struggling with some physical issues, and after discussing it with my team, we believe the best decision is to rest and recover, he said when announcing his withdrawal from Shanghai. I was really looking forward to playing again in front of the fantastic fans in Shanghai. I hope to return soon and see my Chinese fans next year. After the Six Kings Slam, Alcaraz will compete in the Paris Masters, October 27 to November 2, the ATP Finals, November 9 to 16, and the Davis Cup Finals, November 18 to 23. A new symbol for an already exceptional career, Carlos Alcaraz will unveil his own logo created by Nike in Turin, thus joining Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. Having become a true star in the world of tennis and sports in general, Carlos Alcaraz will soon join the exclusive circle of players who have their own Nike logo.